Welcome to Volcano Manor Lounge. Today I'll show you a build I titled Rykard Reborn. When it comes to stats and weaponry, this particular build is rather simple. It scales towards the stats required to use the Blasphemous Blade and Rykard's Rancor using the Gelmir Glintstone Staff. That means 22 Strength, 15 Dexterity, 21 Faith, 40 Intelligence. Once you've reached the first 3 stats, we'll primarily be scaling with Strength, Dexterity and Faith, since that's what our main weapon the Blasphemous Blade scales with. Rykard's Rancor is less important and can be worked towards after the Blasphemous Blade's damage output is effective enough to be used with one hand. For the armor I decided to go with the Gravekeeper Cloak, Guardian Bracers, Duelist Greaves and, though it might seem like an odd choice, the Finger Maiden Fillet, since it gives us a similar look as the crown-like crest that can be seen on Rykard. And it hides his ears at the same time. You can farm the Guardian Bracers near any minor Earth tree. The Finger Maiden Fillet is found at the Church of Inhibition. The Duelist Greaves and the Gravekeeper Cloak can be farmed from the duelists found near the Colosseum at the capital rampart site of Grace. The Blasphemous Blade and Rykard's Rancor can be acquired by doubling the remembrance of the Blasphemous that you get for defeating Rykard at the Walking Mausoleum and then trading the 2 remembrances in at the Round Table Hold. Specifically, Enya the Finger Reader is the one to speak to. Now, the most important part of this build is the appearance of our character. The channel LawsArts Elden Ring Character Creation Sliders has uploaded a video on their channel with a very accurate Rykard recreation, which I've used as a basis for this build. I'll link the video in the description. The only things I've changed a bit is the skin color, as I think the one that LawsArts chose is a little too dark, and the body proportions, in order to make it look as if his formerly gigantic head and face is a remnant of his former serpent body. His previous power shining and morphing through in his fresh and weak looking reborn body. For the starting class I went with the Vagabond, since it has an even spread. Before I start telling you about the journey I went on to put this build together, I should explain that I went through a lot of extra steps, since I wanted to complete the Volcano Manor quest, which requires you to get all the way to the mountaintops of the giants. All of this can be skipped if you don't mind missing out on story, some gear and talismans, particularly the Taker's cameo. After defeating the Godskin Noble at the Temple of Iglay, you could technically get straight to Rykard's boss room. You can enter, take the Serpent Hunter Spear and teleport to any side of Grace. That way you can upgrade it before going into the fight. However, if you want to get the duelist stuff, you'll have to enter Leyendell either way. My first stop was the wagon chest at the Gatefront Ruins, to get a Lordsworn's Greatsword as my early game weapon. Now the next step is to do a good bit of farming to strengthen yourself. I'll link all the guides that have helped me down in the description. For acquiring a ton of runes I mainly used the ball method and, for a good boost, the grey old dragon method. Later I got the golden scarab talisman from defeating the 2 clean rod knights in that annoying Herper's cave and increased the amount of runes I got out of one ball run from around 1900 to more than 2000. Personally, the next weapon I went for was the Bloodhound Fang. That was also the one that I used pretty much until I got the Blasphemous Blade from Rykard, and I can recommend it as the temporary main weapon worth investing some somber smithing stones into. As for armor, practicality is more important than appearance for now, so I suggest using something that doesn't weigh you down too much, while still giving you decent protection. What I did then was pierce through the map, piecing together a lot of explored territory and getting all the way to Volcano Manor in order to get the first contract. Coming back to armor, Old Knight Istvan's scale armor was, at least in my opinion, a good pick for my temporary armor. I pushed through the manor to reach Rykard's boss room, where I took the Serpent Hunter Spear in order to upgrade it for later. With that setup and decreased stats, it was time to make quick work of Margit. I pushed through Stormwind Castle and Godric was next of all. I decided to go for Renala's rune next, and even though she's Rykard's mother, I smacked her till she gave up. The next step was to kill the Draconic Tree Sentinel in order to enter Leyendell. In Leyendell there was another contract that I completed in order to get on with the Volcano Manor questline. On another side note, by talking to Vare at the Rose Church and doing his biddings, one of which is staining a piece of cloth with the blood of the very Finger Maiden you collected the fillet from, you can get to Mogwin Palace, where our advanced farming spot can be found. The next step was to best Godfrey's Spirit. On yet another side note, if you struggle at any of the boss fights that I encountered on your journey, my tip is to try co-op gameplay, as it certainly helped me a lot during this run. After defeating him, I proceeded to the Queen's Bedchamber side of Grace to face Morgoth behind the boss wall nearby. With him dead, our way to the mountaintops of the giants was clear. I could finally get to Juno Hoslo, the last contract of the Volcano Manor questline. After numerous attempts, I killed that annoying little fucker with Vyke's spear, which I got after accidentally stumbling upon Vyke at some point. Now it was time to report back to Tanny, so that she would teleport us back down to Rykard's boss room.
May your visit be fruitful.
After dying once, I realized that the Serpent Hunter's power affected normal attacks as well, and so, on my second attempt, I finally acquired the final and most important piece of this build, the Blasphemous Blade. As I said in the beginning, this build isn't necessarily anything special, and is more of a cosplay build, relying mostly on appearance and lore context. I think it's a lot of fun, even though it might not be the most effective against bosses and players. Thanks for watching up to that point. I'll end the video with a compilation montage of this build in PvE and PvE action.